Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the new Shadow Gallade with the move Psycho Cut in the Open Ultra League. And we're going to have a team here that is going to be very flexible. We're going to have the Drapion in the back, we're going to have the Saisob usually of Greed, and you can use both Pokemon as a Saisob, both of them going to be fine. The thing is, for Drapion, basically Gallade is losing pretty hard against something like Talonflame, something like Cresselia, something like Giratina, and Awkward Tail, of course not Water Tail. Water Tail would be also great move to run, but Awkward Tail variant of the Drapion with Crunch is going to be able to beat all of them. So basically the core of the Gallade as well as Drapion seems to be very decent. Here we're going to see a close combat getting shielded by a dub wall, but you're going to see in the first battle already what Shadow Gallade could do in the Open Ultra League here, as you're going to see Shadow Gallade going for a close combat against the opponent. Of course, double one of the bulkiest Pokemon, boom, goodbye there, gonna get knocked out immediately. What I have to say about this team though is that I doubt that Gallade is going to be a great lead. The thing is, at least for the test battles that I did here right now, around 90% of the lead Pokemon they had were flying type Pokemon, and so I doubt that this is going to be too great. But yeah, we're gonna see here as well, like I got hard-walled quite often today, so we're gonna see some very tough battles for sure. We're gonna have the Empoleon against us as well, which is going to have the new move Steel Wing, of course. And we're going to see this Pokemon quite often today as well, as a lot of people seem to wanted to play this one, and it's definitely a very solid Pokemon for the Open Ultra League, most likely its best meta. Here we will see that we can still easily take, of course, one Hydro Cannon with our Greed, and going for a Crunch kinda seals the deal, and that's going to be a winner for the first one here. Let's move on to the next opponent. We're going to have the Gallade against Tentacruel. Fast move, super effective, but still not a great matchup for us, as the opponent is just doing so much damage. Gallade is very squishy, and here is one of the issues that Gallade already faces in the Open Ultra League. Pokemon are just a little bit bulkier, and so while in the Open Great League it is enough to just go for a Leaf Blade against something like a Whiscash, or like going to be able to survive some better moves, like here in the Ultra League, Pokemon are just a little bit too bulky for Gallade, I feel like. So it is definitely going to not be as great in my opinion in the Open Ultra League at least, but later on we're going to have the Premier Cup coming up, and I'm really excited for this as well, because Premier Cup basically going to delete all the legendary Pokemon from this cup. It is still a little bit sad because it's not Premier Classic, so Premier Classic would mean no XL Pokemon either, but at least no legendaries, which is going to help out Gallade quite a bit, as of course something like Giratina or the Cresselia, both very common Pokemon in the Open Ultra League, are very tough for Gallade to deal with. And so here we're going to see great play by the opponent, by the way, to bank a move and swap out now to force me to use my final shield as well as getting the debuff. I see like that there is some inconsistency with the text display for debuffing moves. Basically, if I think your fast move is super effective or resisted, or I think also maybe even goes for the same for the charge move, like basically the text never shows up. You still see the animation of the debuff happening, but there's definitely some visual differences to what it was before. But yeah, just something that I kind of noticed here. We saw, for example, attack fell, but there were some cases where you didn't see that text coming up at all, which I found quite interesting, especially with Green, of course, being able to spam those crunches. But here, sadly, we're going to lose this game. Next opponent, we're going to have here the Shadow Sandslash, which is going to be interesting. We're going to go for the bait first. Of course, like close combat will just one-shot them, but the importance of the bait is something that you're going to see next as well here, because now you can guarantee outspeed to the next charge move. Of course, you still would see P-type if it would go for double close combat, but like this, I will be either getting the knockout or a shield, and we're gonna get the knockout here, and so we can swap out. The opponent has the Lantern, the opponent also has their Feraligatr, and this is also why the backline is kind of nice. Like, Feraligatr is a very strong Pokemon for this lead of Gallade, because Shadow Claw is going to be super effective, but our backline is just going to be able to resist the Shadow Claw, which makes it kind of great as an answer for Feraligatr as well. So I feel like the team idea itself was kind of great, and I think it's actually a very solid team in general. I just don't think that the meta currently is really great for this team idea though, which you're gonna see especially in like later on gameplay as well. There were so many flying type Pokemon. It was mad, so many Shadow variants of the Dragonite, which is something I definitely kind of want to showcase as well. But yeah, I would imagine that the Shadow Dragonite and Empoleon core are going to be very common in the upcoming season, so definitely make sure to try to hard counter this core, because it is going to be everywhere. Here we will see the opponent going for a Hydro Cannon. We would be able to still take one anyway. Let's see here, we can still go for the Crunch, and at least this Crunch should put them into range where Awkward Heal would be enough to knock them out. Let's see what the opponent is going to try to do here. They're going to go for a Charge move. It is going to be the Hydro Cannon, and I'll try to kind of swap out actually soon here, but like I'm actually gonna go for a charge move first. It's going to be the Awkward Tail. Now I wanted to swap out into my Greed, and you see it there as well. I clicked on it, but the game just didn't register it, and so the opponent goes for a charge move against my Drapion, but it's totally fine because we still have our Body Slam stored, and so this is going to be a good game. Greed is going to be able to finish this one up. Moving on, we're going to have a Charizard in the lead, and here again, like as said before, the amount of flying type Pokemon were just wild. We're gonna see here hard wall, like literally a hard counter city. There's nothing that I can do about it. We're going to get completely hard. By the way, here, see for example, our Crunch is going to be resisted, and you saw basically the drop animation, but you didn't see the basically text for the defense drop here, as you're gonna see again, maybe here. Again, you see like the animation, and actually, yeah, last second their defense fell kind of overlaying each other, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, that's definitely kind of a visual thing. Before it was always kind of showing that the defense dropped and not really the not very effective sign. So that's something new. But we're gonna see at least a close comment hitting against the opponent's Charizard, doing some meaningful damage as well. As the opponent has some spicy Pokemon in the back, which is going to be the Seaking. I know, of course, that they decide to use a shield here because their main bread and butter is going to be the Icy Wind on this Pokemon. And yeah, Icy Wind is going to be a little bit annoying over time because our attack is going to drop. We kind of need our Greedent as well to deal with the Charizard, and we're kind of locked into this matchup while Poison Jab is just jabbing us down like it does to do a ton of damage over time. We can still go for a charge move here, and maybe I am going to try to swap out eventually to catch another Icy Wind. I will try my best here, but it's kind of obvious as well, so like it is definitely kind of my fault, but I didn't want to go for a charge move when my attacks are double debuffed, and so yeah, I'm just going to let this move go through. There's nothing that I can redo at this point anymore. Again, kind of getting completely hard-walled with the Charizard lead against our Gallade and a Poliwrath swap against our Drapion, which is only having resisted damage there as well. So good game there, nothing that I can do. Next opponent, we're going to have Gallade in the lead, which is going to be kind of nice for us as well. It is going to be kind of neutral, but of course our Gallade has a very high attack stat. Opponent makes a great play by catching the move onto their Zapdos here, which is going to be resisted, but I can reach another charge move in time, which is going to get shielded here as close combat would have done a ton of damage. I can swap out into my Drapion as I decide to actually use a shield here because it's very likely to be the Thunderbolt, which it's going to be, so I can just go up for a little bit extra energy, go for the Crunch. This should get the knockout against the opponent. It is still going to be a stab move, and Zapdos has no real defense, so yeah, we're gonna get the knockout here. The opponent is going to swap back into their Gallade. Having to take a Crunch is going to be great for us. This is going to do some neutral damage, and this is going to get the defense drop as well. So basically, every time when your charge move is going to be resisted or super effective, you don't really see the drop thingy for it apparently, but here they went for a close combat, totally fine for me, as they're gonna go for a Leaf Blade, and I screwed up this game. I screwed up this game quite a bit here. I should have not went for this move, by the way. I should have went for Leaf Blade. It is unnecessary to go for this because it's obvious that they would use a shield here because like they know that this would do a ton of damage. And now I decide to swap out into my Greedent, and I make a horrific play here as well. The opponent is gonna go ahead and go for a charge move. Totally fine, of course. But Thunder Punch is going to come through, so they're going to have Thunder Punch as well as Brutal Swing. Everybody's running Brutal Swing, there's no doubt about this. And so we can take those moves, and so I can overfarm, and I was not too sure if I was at 2 charge moves. I should just spam Body Slam at this point. I didn't. I went for an extra fast move, and so the opponent can swap out into their Gallade, make a great play, knocking me out, and so I lose this game now. Because they can still survive with 1 HP, I can still, of course, win the CMP tie, but this doesn't really help me too much, as they're still going to have their Ampharos, and so I'm going to actually win because the opponent must have lagged somewhere. Like, this is not really what I deserve to win here, but I take it. Good game there. Definitely something that I should have won if I played a little bit better though. And I think now it's kind of starting where we're going to encounter basically only Dragonite in the lead now. This Pokemon going to be everywhere. I'm curious if there's a Pokemon that can beat both the Dragonite as well as the yeah, Empoleon, which would be very good for the current meta. I would imagine that there's going to be a Pokemon that can do this. I guess electric type Pokemon are kind of decent for this. Maybe Magnezone can do this kind of stuff, so Magnezone might be a good Pokemon to go for sure. But yeah, we're going to see here that the opponent is going to have to take some body slams from our Greedent against their own Snorlax, as they can go for the superpower if they want to, but they decided to go ahead and rather go for the body slam. And so I can swap out, which is kind of great for me. This is going to be another charge up coming through. It's another body slam here, which is going to do some decent damage, but Crunch should be enough to knock them out, and so at least we can have some extra energy and hopefully do some decent damage here against the opponent, whatever's coming in here. Let's see what's coming in. It's going to be the Empoleon. As said before, this core is going to be everywhere. Like, Dragonite Empoleon is something that you have to get used to. It is literally the best core, most likely now in the Open Ultra League as well. Empoleon is just so strong, especially now. Like, Dragonite really does not want to face any Ice-type Pokemon or any Fairy-type Pokemon. Before, we had the issue that Steel-type moves, like especially the fast moves, don't really do any damage. And now we have all of a sudden a Pokemon that is Steel-type, that does Steel-type damage, and quite a bit of it as well. And so it is just very good as a core for Dragon-type Pokemon. Could imagine something like the Giratina is also a great Pokemon to core with the Empoleon, but yeah, Empoleon is definitely looking like a solid pick here. I overfarmed because there was not really a chance otherwise for me anyway, and so I'm going to lose this game. Even worse than the Dragonite, we're going to have the Togekiss here next, and of course we're just gonna get hardwalled immediately afterwards, having the Togekiss against us, and then of course the Swampert against our Poison and Dark type. I thought that the Greedent might be a little bit of a better Pokemon to deal with against the against the Togekiss, so I decided to swap out into my Drapion here instead. Getting walled immediately by this Pokemon is not what we wanted, but at least I can still reach another charge move in time, which the opponent most likely did not really expect, because like this I can get a shield advantage, which is going to be great, as I have to let this move go through now. And of course, I have to align my Gallade now. Gallade is going to be kind of weak, of course, but I have to still let this move go through, because we know that afterwards you're gonna get out the Togekiss, and I need to basically still have my shield as like somewhat of an advantage, because I have to swap out. And of course, the matchup here for us is not going to be too great either, because the fast move is going to be double resisted from the opponent, only doing 1 damage. So body slam spam it is, and it looks like we have to go for 4 body slams in order to knock them out. I'm using a shield here. I know that this is just going to be the ancient power, and in hindsight this was a huge mistake, because they're actually going to have in the back here the Feraligatr. If I knew this, of course I would have played it differently, as Feraligatr is a Pokemon that needs to hit charge moves in order to do damage here against us. And basically, if I kept my shield, I would have been in a really great spot, and I think I had a chance of winning this game. So yeah, but of course, in hindsight, you know a little bit more. My only play now was to catch the move or get to a Leaf Blade, which neither of them worked, and so I'm going to lose this game fair and square. Interesting team though with Togekiss, but yeah, let's move on to the next one. Next opponent coming through, of course, as said before, like, flying types were literally every single lead for me there at the end. We're going to have here the Shadow Dragonite against us. We can still go for a charge move against the opponent here, which is going to be kind of nice. Or maybe later on, maybe we can get like some damage onto them then as well, where maybe a Close Combat would even be enough to knock them out. They go for the superpower, and of course they swap out into their dub wall. Like, this is the thing as well, you're going to see so many teams of Dragonite, dub wall, and Empoleon, Dragonite Greedent and Empoleon, Dragonite Snorlax and Empoleon. Like, those going to be everywhere, so be prepared for this for sure. Maybe Ice-type lead would be an interesting one. Maybe something like Walrein lead would be really cool. But yeah, we're going to see here Payback actually coming through. Not going to get the knockout against me, which is kind of cool. So we at least were able to keep some energy. But what I did not expect is how fast the opponent gets to moves. Like, I thought at least I would be able to still get like 1 more extra fast move in. I wasn't. They can still go for another body slam, and they swap out now into the Dragonite, allowing me to at least go for 1 Leaf Blade here to bait out the shield, which is going to be okay, as we can go for a close combat afterwards. And so this is going to get the final shield, and we might still actually have a chance here. We still have a body slam stored, which might be enough to knock them out. Let's see if this is going to actually be enough, and we are not gonna get there, as the opponent decides to go for that charge move instead. But the Dragon Claw is coming through, and I was like, at least I can outspeed them here with Crunch, right? I cannot. So basically, Dragonite completely destroyed my entire team here, just because they always perfectly got to the energy, which was absolutely wild. I tried to undercharge to get a little bit of energy, but of course they can swap out, and yeah, they just have the Empoleon in the back, and I just decide to let this move go through. Final game for today. We're going to have, at least it's not a flying type Pokemon. That's already a huge benefit for me here, as we will see the Ampharos against us. And I can try to catch the move onto my Greedent, which works out amazingly here. The opponent is going to decide to go for one Brutal Swing. It's going to do some decent damage, but as you can see here, we can see the Poliwrath coming in. Of course, hard warning us again. Like today was not my day for the Ultra League, for sure not. But we're going to take a look later on for the Spring Cup. If you haven't seen also my video about the Spring Cup earlier on about the top teams for, definitely check it out. But later on tonight, we're going to have another video coming up for the Spring Cup when that's going to be available, so stay tuned for this. But yeah, here we're going to see the Poliwrath going to go for the full farm down. I try to go for my Leaf Blade here, but they can still go for a charge move before. They would be able to reach another charge move afterwards as well. I kind of hope that they use a shield here. This would be better for me, but they decide to let this move go through, which is great for them, as I can now try to still go for a Leaf Blade in order to force another shield from the opponent. But it comes down now if we can win this game with our Drapion. And it's going to be a little bit of a trickier one, because I can guarantee get to 2 Hydro Cans, so they do a ton of damage against me. And then I still have to deal with the Ampharos. And sadly, we were not able to hit a charge move in the beginning against the Ampharos, so Ampharos is basically still full health at this point. And so, awkward here is going to be a CMP tie here, which is really sad. I was hoping that they thought that I maybe have like something like Sludge Bomb, but I don't. And so, this is going to be the knockout against them, but it is going to still be a tricky one here, as the Ampharos is going to go for the full farm down, as they know they can still survive a move. Great play there, but this is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.